Have you ever wondered, why did your child arrive at that exact moment in your life? Why not sooner or later? Why did a soul appear just when you were at your most uncertain? Was it really just coincidence, or something your soul agreed to lifetimes ago? Hello, and welcome to Son.Mindfulness. I'm honored to share this space with you today. If you're a parent, or ever have been, you may have asked yourself, do I really understand the karmic bond between me and my child? Many of us carry questions that linger. Why was my child born right during my crisis? Why does my child feel so different from me? How can one child change everything in my life? We often call it fate, but could it be a sacred karmic alignment? In this video, I'll share 12 stories with you. 12 souls, 12 birth months, and 12 deep spiritual lessons. Each month is a doorway, each child a key. If you've ever looked at your child and quietly asked, why did you come to me? Then this is the video you've been waiting for. Here at Son.Mindfulness, I share stories about karma, awakening, compassion, and healing. Every video is a quiet meditation, a warm tea conversation for souls in search of meaning. If this speaks to your heart, please consider subscribing and joining me on this path. Your presence here is a blessing. I wish you peace, good health, happiness, and gentle luck in each moment of your life. And now, let us listen to these 12 stories together. Perhaps somewhere in them, you'll find yourself and your child. January, when a soul comes to restore order in your life. I want you to picture this. A winter morning. The sun hasn't fully risen, snow still covers the porch, and inside your heart, there's a quiet emptiness. Everything in your life feels unfinished. Your job is unsettled, your relationship feels fragile, you're not even sure where you're going. And then, at that exact moment, your child is born. Not in warm spring, not in bright summer, but in January. The space between endings and beginnings. Have you ever felt that way? Like a soul appeared when you were exhausted, unprepared, and lost? You know what? That not ready place was exactly why they came. In Buddhist teaching, no birth is random. Each soul chooses the exact time. Not too soon, not too late, but precisely when the parent needs to awaken. I once knew a woman, 43 years old, completely lost. She was recently divorced. She'd lost her job. Her parents were unwell. Then, she got pregnant, unexpected, unplanned, and her baby was born in January. From that moment, she began to rebuild. One choice at a time. Her child didn't give advice, they simply existed. And that presence alone was powerful enough to help her start over. Children born in January carry the karma of structure. They often arrive when life feels chaotic. And somehow, just by being there, you begin to organize again. You fix your schedule. You start eating better. You learn to say no to things that drain you. You create boundaries, you become grounded again. Others might not notice the shift, but you do, because your child is changing you, quietly, steadily, each day. That is karma, not because they need you, but because the two of you made a sacred promise. Long ago, they would come when you were lost, to remind you it's time to rebuild your life, with clarity, with boundaries, with direction. Do you have a child born in January? If so, think back to that moment. Was your life in disarray? And since their arrival, have you slowly started putting things back together? If yes, then you are living a beautiful karmic story. A soul chose the exact moment you were about to fall, just to hold your hand and whisper, let's rebuild this life together. February, when a soul comes to break the old patterns. Have you ever looked at your child and thought, why are they so different? Why don't they fit in with the rest of us? Why do they say things that even adults avoid? I once spoke with an older Buddhist student. She said, my daughter was born in February. From the start, she refused to follow tradition. She became vegetarian but never went to temple. She loved nature but didn't believe in fortune-telling. She studied well, then dropped out of college to study meditation and farm. I used to cry. I thought she was disrespectful. But now I realize maybe I was the one who needed to change. You see, children born in February often come to disrupt family patterns, not to hurt, but to free us from inherited emotional systems, beliefs, habits, expectations passed down for generations but no longer true. Modern psychology calls this intergenerational trauma, pain passed on without words. Like being taught, don't speak, be quiet, that's what good children do. And then, your February child is born, and they speak, they cry, truthfully, they ask questions you were never brave enough to ask. You've held the image of a strong stoic parent, but your child says, "Mom, it's okay to cry, I'm here." You once believed success meant degrees and money, but your child says, "I just want to live in a way that feels real." Is it hard? Yes. Is it exhausting? Absolutely. But maybe what wears you out is exactly what breaks the cycle. Buddhism teaches, true transformation begins with right view. Chantian. The February soul comes holding a mirror. They invite you to look at what your family never dared face, not to blame, but to choose again. Repeat the pattern or let it go. I once told a father, you call your child difficult, but if your family keeps repeating the same thinking, how will karma ever change? That's what I hope you remember. A February soul doesn't come to please you. They come to liberate you. If you have a child, or even a grandchild, like this, sit with them, not to correct, but to listen. Maybe the truth you've avoided hearing is the doorway for your entire family's freedom. If your child ever felt like a small revolution in your home, congratulations. That may be one of the greatest blessings karma could send you, even when it comes wrapped in storms. March, when a soul comes to heal what was never spoken. I'd like you to pause for a moment and remember the time your child was born. In March. It wasn't quite winter anymore, but not yet spring. The season, like your heart, felt uncertain, not fully in pain, but not fully at peace either. A mother once came to me and said, "My baby was born in March. She's so sensitive, more than I imagined possible. She sees every little shift in my emotions. Sometimes I don't even realize I'm sad, and she asks, 'Mom, are you hurting?' And I panic because I don't know the answer." I smiled and told her, "She didn't come to make you suffer, she came to help you heal. And to heal, you must first see the wound." That's how March souls are. They arrive in this liminal season, a space between stillness and movement. Everything seems calm on the outside, but inside, something powerful is stirring. Elder parents often tell me, my child born in March is so moody. Quiet one day, explosive the next. Sometimes they cry, and I don't even know why. But if you sit with them, truly sit in silence, you may realize this. Their emotions are mirrors. They reflect what you haven't yet processed. Maybe it's anger you buried long ago. Maybe it's grief you never allowed yourself to feel. Maybe it's that deep ache of no one really sees me, now carried by the child who sees too much. In family therapy, they're called mirror children. In Buddhism, we call it shared karmic manifestation, when unhealed karma resurfaces in the next generation. And sometimes, a child born in March is your first invitation to show compassion, not to them, but to yourself. They don't need to say much. Just their gaze when you're in pain can undo years of hiding. Just lying next to you, their soft breath may bring the first peace you felt in years. And suddenly, you no longer need to be strong all the time. That's the quiet power of a March soul. They don't break things. They don't preach. They don't demand. They simply arrive with quiet love to unlock the rooms in your heart you thought you'd sealed forever. I once said in a Dharma talk in New Jersey, some children don't come to learn. They come to remind their parents how to love themselves. If your child was born in March, ask yourself, what part of me has this child stirred awake? Is there a tear they've wiped, even if I never let it fall? If so, you've already begun the path of healing, guided by a soul who loved you long before you ever learned to love yourself. April, when a soul comes to unlock the door of your heart. There's a kind of pain no one sees. It doesn't bleed, it doesn't cry out, but it lives deep in the chest, like a room long locked away. I've met many people like this. They walk into the temple, palms pressed together, lips chanting Buddha's name, but their eyes are empty. When I ask, they often say the same thing. I once loved, I once believed, but I was hurt so deeply, my heart shut down. Have you ever felt that way? And then, just when you've stopped expecting anything soft, a child is born, in April. Not the obedient kind who follows every rule, but a bright, stubborn blossom, like a flower daring to grow through frozen ground. They laugh loud, run fast, and touch you like they're saying, "Mom, please, don't turn off the sunlight inside you." Have you ever felt that? Has a single hug from your child ever made you cry, without knowing why? April souls come with a karmic mission, to awaken the heart. They arrive when you've been living on emotional economy, smiling just enough, hiding your sadness, loving in silence. But then, their presence cracks something open. I once said in a Dharma talk in California, children born in April are like early spring sunshine, not burning like summer, not gentle like fall, but enough to melt ice. Maybe your heart closed long ago, because of betrayal, or loss, or maybe just from not being truly held for far too long. And then this April child arrives, like a little bodhisattva. No lectures, no demands, just love, for no reason at all. In Buddhism we speak of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, the embodiment of compassion and deep listening. I believe some April-born children carry a spark of that spirit. They touch the loneliness inside their parents, with their gaze, their tiny grip, their soft mommy. So real, it breaks you open. An elder once told me, "My daughter was born in April." My heart had dried out like an abandoned garden, but she came, and I started laughing again, playing music again, and realized I could still love. You see, a heart once closed may still be waiting to be awakened. The April child does not make you weak. They remind you, to feel is to be alive, to cry is to begin healing, to love, whether the first time or the last, is sacred. If your child was born in April, ask yourself, since they arrived, have you softened? Forgiven? Felt grateful, even for the small things? If yes, then I celebrate with you. You have met a tiny Zen teacher, bringing spring not just to your home, but to your heart. May, when a soul comes to teach you the art of presence. I often tell my older Dharma students, not every soul is here to change you. Some are simply meant to sit beside you, say nothing, and still bring a peace you can't explain. That's the energy of children born in May. They're not impulsive, not demanding. They carry a quiet, grounded, and deeply calming presence. I remember an elderly man in his 70s once told me at the temple, "Master, my grandson was born in May. He doesn't talk much, doesn't cause trouble, but when he sits near me, my heart just feels lighter." Have you ever felt that? A child who, simply through stillness, makes you want to slow down? In today's world where adults race from one task to the next, distracted by phones and deadlines, a May soul feels like a temple bell echoing through the noise. Pause. Stop running. What you seek is already here. Children born in May often carry an earth-air energy, grounded like soil, gentle like breeze. They can play quietly alone for hours. They observe deeply rather than rush to speak. And in that way, they teach you meditation, without ever saying the word meditate. One mother once shared with me, "Before my child, I was always on the go, working, worrying, planning. But since they arrived, I've learned to just look at the sky, take walks with no destination, listen to the sound of leaves, and not immediately ask, what's next?" You see, not every child is meant to do big things. Some souls only need to be merely buried, and their still presence becomes the strongest reminder that you too deserve to breathe, to be still, to be present. In Buddhist teaching, this is the heart of mindfulness. Mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the mind, mindfulness of the present moment. And a child born in May, without preaching, lives that truth. Sometimes all it takes is a look in their eyes, clear, unrushed, without judgment, to feel the miracle of now. I once said, the one who can teach you to slow down in a world obsessed with speed is the greatest teacher of all. If you have a child born in May, perhaps you're living with such a teacher every day. So let me ask, have you ever just sat beside your child, doing nothing but listening to their breath? Have you ever let them tug your hand to walk slowly, not to reach somewhere, but simply to be together? If yes, then I congratulate you. You don't just have a child, you have a spiritual clock, a gentle reminder that life is not a race. Life is to be fully lived, moment by moment, side by side. June, when a soul arrives to reflect you back to yourself. I want you to picture this for a moment. One quiet afternoon, you're simply watching your child, doing something ordinary, nothing special. And suddenly it hits you. Why do they see the world exactly like I do? Or maybe the opposite. Why do they react to me in the same way I used to react to my parents? That, my dear, is not a coincidence. In psychology, it's called an empathetic reflector, a mirror of emotional patterns. In Buddhism, we see it as karmic reflection, karma not sent to punish, but to reveal what you haven't yet seen clearly within yourself. Children born in June, influenced by Gemini and Cancer energies, tend to be deeply sensitive souls. They are hard to figure out. They may be laughing one moment, then quietly withdrawn the next. They're not moody by choice. They are simply feeling more than you realize. A father in his 60s once told me during a morning meditation in Oregon, "My son was born in June. I used to think he was difficult, too emotional, but as he grew I saw it. He's just like me. He reflects the parts of me I've spent decades trying to hide. My short temper, my insecurities, my deep, unmet need to be understood." Have you ever experienced something like that? A single moment, a single word from your child, and suddenly you realize, I've never truly understood myself. That is the spiritual gift of a June-born soul. They don't come to teach with words. They come to help you face the very parts of yourself you've been avoiding. In Buddhist philosophy, there's a concept called pure seeing without judgment. It's the kind of vision that doesn't label or distort. It simply observes with clarity. And strangely enough, children born in June, with their ever-shifting inner world, carry that very essence. You can't pin them down with labels, good or difficult, easy or stubborn, because each day they mirror a different facet of your own inner landscape. That's why parenting a June-born child can feel confusing. But the confusion isn't about them. It's a signal that you too have inner layers yet to be understood. I once shared this in a Dharma talk. If your child makes you angry, don't rush to discipline them. Instead, ask, what part of me is still waiting to be heard? Because children of June, they're not here to test your patience. They're offering you the rarest gift of all, the chance to finally listen to yourself. So if you've ever thought, my child changes too much, perhaps ask yourself, am I being invited to become more flexible with my own feelings? If you've ever felt hurt by your child's words, ask gently, was this pain already inside me, just waiting to be seen? You see, a child born in June doesn't arrive to be taught. They arrive so you can gently, but honestly, look into the mirror of your own soul. And when you dare to look into that mirror, with compassion and without judgment, it is you who begins to heal. July, when a soul arrives to awaken your protective instinct and the child you once were. Perhaps no other month is as emotionally stirring as July. Children born in this time often awaken a love so fierce, so deep, you'd stand before the entire world just to protect them. Have you felt that? From the very beginning, you may notice yourself becoming softer, more tender. Even the gentlest cry from your child feels like it melts your heart. But alongside that immense love comes a quiet fear. Fear that they might be hurt. Fear they'll feel unloved. Fear they'll go through the same silent struggles you once did as a child. And that is where karma begins to stir. You see, a July-born soul doesn't just come to receive your love. They come to awaken the forgotten parts of your own childhood. The ones that didn't receive enough warmth, enough comfort, enough arms to hold them tight. When your child clings to you, cries longer than usual, or throws a tantrum, it may not be bad behavior. It may be the echo of an inner child in you, still longing to be seen. In Buddhist understanding, we call this deep layer karmic reflection, when a current relationship triggers wounds that were never named, never healed. A mother once told me, "Since my baby was born, I realized how deeply I was abandoned as a child, even though my parents were always physically there. Now, when I hold my child, I'm also learning how to hold myself." So if you have a child born in July, please know this. They didn't come just to be protected. They came to unlock the love you may have never fully known how to give to yourself. Let each time you cradle your child be a moment you cradle the child you once were. August, when a soul arrives to push you beyond your comfort zone. Have you ever blurted out, "Why is my child so hard to raise? Why can't they just listen like other kids?" If so, you might be living with a soul born in August. Children born in this month often carry a fiery, determined energy, like the blazing sun at summer's end. Radiant, intense, and impossible to ignore. They may talk back, ask too many questions, refuse to follow a rule just because it's a rule. You say one thing, they respond with 3 more questions. You draw a line, they test its strength. Exhausting? Yes, very. But in Buddhist wisdom, this is not a karmic burden. It is a karmic gift in disguise. August-born children often arrive to push you out of your comfort zone, the one where you repeat old parenting habits, thoughts, and reactions without ever asking, "Is this truly right?" They compel you to parent with awareness, not just repeat what was modeled for you. They teach you that true maturity is not about controlling others, but about mastering yourself. In Buddhist teachings, we call this right effort, chuntin-tun. Not stubbornness, but the inner strength to rise above laziness, inertia, and the false safety of just getting by. So, if you're raising a child born in August, you may actually be living with a strong-willed little bodhisattva. A spiritual teacher in disguise, not through sermons, but through trials. You can choose frustration, or you can choose to evolve in a way you never dared before. And when you finally cross the threshold you once feared, you'll realize they were never fighting against you. They were fighting for the stronger version of you, the one you were afraid to become. September, when a soul arrives to help you rediscover your purpose. There's something quietly profound about children born in September. They're not as loud or fiery as those born in August, nor are they dreamy like the souls of February or March. They come with a deep stillness, as if their very presence is asking you just one question. What truly matters to you, Mom, Dad? Have you ever felt that? Sometimes, simply watching your child sit and play in silence can stir something inside you. A whisper of a thought. What have I been chasing all these years? Have I forgotten the simple joys of being alive? September-born souls often carry the energy of order and refinement. They don't demand much, but their quiet presence gently urges you to pause, to look inward. Not through achievement, but through peace. I once met a mother in her 50s who told me, "My son was born in September. He never gave me a hard time. But every time I look at him, I feel like clearing out the clutter in my life." In Buddhist teachings, we're reminded that happiness doesn't come from adding more, but from letting go. And a child born in September might just be your subtle teacher in minimalism, both outer and inner. Through them, you may come to realize you don't need applause, just honest moments with your family. You don't need to worry about what others think, because when you look at your child, you remember the real value is peace of mind. If you're blessed with a September-born child, try this. Sit beside them. Read together. Talk. without rushing. You may discover that your child is a little Zen master, one who doesn't preach, but simply helps you slow down, breathe, and live with deeper purpose. October, when a soul arrives to help you make peace with the past. An elderly woman once sat with me during an evening meditation session. She whispered, "I had my child after a painful divorce. At that time my heart felt like scorched earth. No flowers could grow there anymore. But then he was born, in October, and somehow his presence helped me begin to forgive, especially myself." Do you see? Children born in October often arrive after a life-changing event, a breakup, a loss, or the quiet closing of a wounded chapter. They don't come to replace the past. They come to remind you, "Mom, the past doesn't need to be erased. It needs to be embraced in the light." October souls carry the karma of reconciliation. They often have a thoughtful stillness in them, eyes that seem to see right into you. You may notice your child is more introspective than expected, or that they ask questions that take you by surprise. "Mom, did you cry when Grandpa passed away?" "Dad, did your heart ever hurt when I didn't listen to you?" These aren't just innocent questions, they're gentle keys unlocking doors in you long sealed shut. In Buddhist teachings, we learn about transforming karma through mindfulness, not by running from pain but by facing it, awake, aware, and kind. An October-born child is an invitation to do just that. They arrive like autumn itself, soft, golden, and healing. No longer the blazing fire of summer, but not yet the cold hush of winter. A gentle pause, a space to breathe, reflect, and close old stories with compassion. If you are raising an October-born child, I believe this. You are living with a soul whose sacred role isn't to write a brand new story, but to help you rewrite the pages you never dared revisit. And when you walk that path together, slowly, truthfully, you may come to see, peace doesn't come from starting over. It comes from making peace with what once broke you. November, when a soul arrives to open the door between the seen and the unseen. Have you ever looked at your child, a child born in November, and quietly wondered, why do they feel so deep? Not like other kids, not overly expressive, but not easy to read either. They're quiet, but their eyes, they carry lifetimes. If you've ever felt that, you might be living with an old soul, a soul that chose to arrive in November. Across many spiritual traditions, from Celtic to Aztec, from early Christianity to Tibetan Buddhism, November is seen as the time when the veil between the visible and the invisible is at its thinnest. Souls who choose to enter the world during this time often carry a spiritual responsibility. They don't come to live just for themselves. They come to help others connect to something deeper in life, to a realm that cannot be seen, only felt. I once met a father in his 60s. He told me, "My son was born in November. He doesn't speak much, but one evening I told him about my mother who passed away many years ago. He listened quietly, then said, 'I dreamed of her. She told me to remind you to sleep more.' I felt chills, but somehow I knew it wasn't just my son speaking. In Buddhism, we are taught all phenomena are empty, but even in emptiness there is sacred awareness. Children born in November carry that sacred awareness, a sensitivity to the unspoken, an ability to sense what others cannot articulate. Your child may not enjoy big crowds, but feel deeply connected to trees, animals, or quiet spaces. They may not be overly affectionate, yet they know exactly when you're tired or down or quietly needing a hug. Why? Because they're sensing layers of energy that most of us were never taught to notice. So if you're raising a child born in November, don't rush to fix what feels different. Instead, honor that difference. See your child as a bridge, a gentle reminder to return to your own intuition, to listen deeply, to feel more quietly. You don't need to become a spiritual person. You simply need to sit still beside them. And remember, among all things visible, your child's soul is gently whispering to you. The most sacred truths are the ones your eyes can't see, but your heart has always known. December, when a soul arrives to close an old cycle and open a new light. Have you ever felt, when your child was born, like you had just stepped across a major full stop in your life? Not entirely joyful, not fully sorrowful, but something quiet, deep, like the final note of a song, lingering softly in your soul. Children born in December rarely come to stir or disrupt. They come with a quiet but profound mission: to complete, to transform, to gently close a karmic cycle that has gone on too long. I once met a woman in her 50s. She told me, "I gave birth after losing my first child less than a year earlier. I didn't think I had the strength. But then she came on a quiet winter afternoon, and since then, I began to forgive. I don't even know why. I just did." I smiled and said, "Because she didn't just come to live, she came to help you finish what was never spoken." December-born souls often carry eyes that seem timeless, as if they've walked through many lifetimes before. They don't rush, they don't shout, they don't ask for much. But somehow, their presence alone invites you to reflect, to take in the whole journey of your life with new eyes. You may find, old wounds no longer feel sharp. Past dreams you mourned now feel complete. Things that once felt unfinished now feel enough. In Buddhism, this is the act of transferring merit, of ending karma, not just for oneself, but for one's family, even one's ancestors. It's a heavy karma, but also a deep grace. If you're raising a child born in December, don't worry if they seem older than their age or walk quietly through their own inner world. They may not need to learn how to be loud, because their soul has chosen to be the one who ends an old karmic pattern, so that your family may walk lighter from this point forward. Conclusion. When you realize your child is a sacred karma from many lifetimes, a child is never just your flesh and blood. They are a soul, carrying not only karma, but also gifts. Some arrive to rebuild your life from the ground up. Some come to break ancestral patterns that no longer serve. Some mirror you in ways so precise, it leaves you breathless. Others awaken parts of you that have long fallen asleep. Each birth month is a message. Each story is a gentle teaching. And if you've heard even a whisper of that message, then you've already taken a giant step on the path of understanding and loving. Have you seen yourself in one of these stories? Have you felt your child arrive right at the moment when your soul needed to change? If you look back, what in you was stirred awake after your child was born? Have you ever held your child close and quietly wished you could hold your younger self too? Perhaps that's how karma is transformed, through compassion. Dear one, I honor you for walking through these 12 sacred steps with courage, for daring to see your child through the lens of soul, not just survival, and to see yourself in the light of deeper awareness. If these stories have touched something in you, may I gently invite you, bring what you've realized into each hug, each word, each moment with your child. Because sometimes the most powerful spiritual practice is simply to be fully present in love. What are you thinking right now? Which story makes you want to speak from the heart? Thank you for walking with me all the way to the end of this journey. If this has been meaningful to you, please subscribe to Son.Mindfulness, and let's continue walking the path of awakening together. I invite you to leave a comment below. I will read each word with deep gratitude. May you be healthy, may you be peaceful, may you be happy, and may blessings find you on every path you walk. Thank you.